Economics at the Institute of World Politics, James S. Robbins, and the Director of Foreign Policy at the Jewish Institute for National Security of America, Jonathan Ruhe. Gentlemen, good morning to both of you. James, if I could start with you, I think the line that struck everybody yesterday was President Trump saying the big wave is yet to come. What could be in store, and what targets do you think he could be referring to?
Well, it's hard to imagine what that could be. I mean, how much bigger could it be than taking out the top leadership of Iran and, the upper levels of the government and their military apparatus? I mean, we've done that. That was a pretty big wave. So it could be that the administration is contemplating targeting infrastructure of Iran, targeting their oil terminals, targeting their electric grid, things like that. I think they've avoided that so far because that will increase the pain on the Iranian people as opposed to Iran's regime. But it's possible that they could target those things in order to get the people motivated to have a revolution, overthrow the regime, get out in the streets and get this thing done.
Jonathan, you just wrote a piece for JINSA that I read yesterday in which you say this campaign against Iran's regime is completely different from past conflicts we've seen in terms of objectives, operations, responses. How so? And do you think it's too early to tell where this is all headed?
Yes, so this one is different, as we heard, partly because this is explicitly for the United States, not a one-off hit hard and then go home type operation like Midnight Hammer last summer. Obviously, a lot bigger target set is being discussed. This includes basically, as President Trump said, he's going to attempt, along with Israel, to take out as much or all of Iran's military and internal security capability as possible. And then also the sort of unprecedentedly joint nature of U.S. cooperation with Israel on an operational level, which we haven't seen in past conflicts. And, certainly I think this conflict is going to continue escalating. That's part of Iran's whole strategy, is to show the United States that we can do this longer than you can. We will complicate your attempts to put any sort of clear estimate of an end date on this.
James, as I mentioned off the top, the U.S. Embassy was hit by drones in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The whole conflict, of course, now stretching throughout the Middle East. And I think a lot of Americans are wondering, okay, how at risk are we, both at home and abroad? But for Americans in the Middle East right now, how at risk are they, even if they're not in Iran?
Well, I think they're at grave risk, really. Iran is seeking different ways to lash out. We don't know what their command and control is. Units could be operating independently. I think they're just trying to find different ways to hurt us right now. So any way that they could possibly do that, they will do. They have proxies throughout the region. It could be individual terror attacks, even see an American in the streets and, go up with a gun or a knife. There could be car bombings. There are a lot of things that they can do just on the level of terrorism to make life uncomfortable for us. So I think that any American who's in the region should be uncomfortable. And, even here at home, it's certainly possible that there could be out-of-area attacks that could affect us here.
Yeah, I mean, they're already investigating that deadly bar shooting down in Austin, Texas, and whether or not that has a link to this ongoing conflict. Jonathan, let me play some sound for you. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu telling Fox News host Sean Hannity why he believes Israel and the United States needed to do this now or it would be too late. Take a listen to what he had to say.
The reason that we had to act now is because after we hit their nuclear sites and their ballistic missiles program, you'd think they learned a lesson, but they didn't, because they're unreformable. They're totally fanatic about this, about the goal of destroying America. So they started building new sites, new places, underground bunkers that would make their ballistic missile program and their atomic bomb programs immune within months. If no action was taken now, no action could be taken in the future.
Jonathan, how do you think Netanyahu and the White House have done on their messaging that this was needed now? And also, do you think that Netanyahu and Trump are in lockstep with one another on objectives and how long they want this to last?
So I would give President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu an incomplete grade so far. There's clearly been some lack of coordinated messaging and sort of understanding of why this war started by both countries. I think, there's plenty that can be done for both President Trump and the Prime Minister To clarify and reiterate the most important message here, which President Trump said early Saturday morning before the strikes, which is we, the United States and Israel, are taking out Iran's military and internal security apparatus. So you, the Iranian people, we are going to literally clear the way for you to go and rise up. It's important to stay on that message. And I think also to reiterate that, we've heard from Prime Minister Netanyahu, the nuclear and missile dimension of this. That's all. I think you can quibble about the details of what he said, but in general, that's correct. But also more generally, this is a regime in Iran that has more than 1,000 dead American service members on its hands, the blood of them on its hands, and countless civilians in the Middle East and across the world. So in some sense, we could talk about months, we could talk about the specific timing, but in a lot of ways, this has been 47 years in the making.
And we'll see what day 4 of this operation has in store. James S. Robbins, Jonathan Ruhe, thank you both so much for your time and perspectives this morning. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, the fighting is also leaving